weeks after the shooting of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a car is running through downtown Memphis, Tennessee, with several police cars hunting it down. Police officers chased the infamous killer of this civil rights leader, as was described by an anonymous phone call to the Memphis City Police Department. But there's only one problem. This didn't happen. None of this did. Some details of the story were correct, such as the killer's name and the fact that the police were looking for him, but pretty much everything else was wrong. That is, everything but the caller who claimed they witnessed the whole thing. This story is one of many that gets passed around by conspiracy theorists, the belief being that the story is actually true and that the government is trying to cover it up. James Earl Ray is the man who was charged with assassinating Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He confessed to the crime on his 41st birthday in order to avoid the death penalty, but he later recanted his confession. His new story was that a mystery man by the name of Raul had tricked him into the position as the most likely suspect. However, James Earl Ray's description of Raul would change each time he described him, leading many to believe that Raul wasn't even real. But while Ray was behind bars, Dexter Scott King met with the alleged assassin in 1997 with only one thing to make clear. The King family did not believe that James Earl Ray had killed Martin Luther King Jr. Many would argue that Ray was a conniving trickster that somehow managed to deceive the King family, that he was a criminal mastermind. But Ray was kinda loony. He wasn't a smart man, not even close. It wasn't his charms or vices that convinced the King family, but other facts of the case that were seldom mentioned. For starters, the window that Ray had allegedly fired his rifle through had a tree growing right in front of it, a thick branch spanning across the window. Ray was blinded to King's location. To shoot King in the jaw while he stood on the balcony of his room on the second floor required precision that wasn't achievable by randomly firing a single shot. There were other facts that the King family found suspicious, such as Ray's birthday confession. His lawyer advised him to plead guilty in order to avoid the death penalty, but capital punishment was an incredibly rare occurrence and had only been reinstated in the state of Tennessee in 1978. But it was because of his confession, Ray could no longer have a jury trial. Conspiracy theorists believe that this was the true aim, as a jury would have been convinced that Ray was framed. And Raul? The conspiracy that revolves around him is that he was actually an undercover agent that worked for the CIA. Of course, most of this so-called evidence gets easily dismissed as simply being false. But before we leave, I'll add just one more detail. Due to a manufacturing error, the rifle Ray allegedly used to assassinate King did not match the bullet found in King's lower jaw.